Good evening. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to our webinar today to discuss about electrification in the Indian truck sector with our leading industry experts. It's a topic that's not much discussed when we talk about our glorified rise in the EV industry. But before I introduce our esteemed panelists for the discussion today, may I quickly talk a little bit about the structure of the webinar. The webinar will consist of interactive discussion with our eminent speakers, followed by Q&A session from the audience. And the questions would be picked up based on the relevance from the Q&A box at the bottom of the webinar window. These questions would be visible to our panelists as well. So I would request the panelists to keep a check and answer some of the relevant questions there to keep the audience engaged. Now, moving on to the agenda of the webinar, there are the following key points that we are going to discuss today. One is the e-trucks landscape in India. Then policy measures for medium and high duty trucks in road freight, and pilot projects and their results, if any, scope of retrofitment, risk and challenges, and the way forward for the industry. Now, introducing our esteemed panelists. So we have Mr. Sanjeev Kulkarni, CTO from Billion Electric Mobility. With 32 years of experience in automotive industry, Mr. Sanjeev has previously served as Chief Executive Officer and member of board of Kalyani Powertrain Limited in Pune. He was also in board of Teva Motors and Tork Motors Private Limited. And as per his industry colleagues, his passion for technology in automotive and EV sectors is quite unmatched. Welcome, Mr. Sanjeev. Mr. Shashank, he's head of truck sales in Eka Mobility. He has successful track record of 20+ years of experience in driving sales, marketing strategies, programs, and initiatives producing dynamic business results. He has previously worked with Mahindra Force Motors and Honda Seal. Welcome, Mr. Shashank.
Thank you, Mr.
And welcome, Ms. Ashpreet Sethi. Ms. Ashpreet Sethi is an independent consultant. She has experience working as independent consultant with Terry and WRI. Formerly, she was heading Smart Freight Center in India, and was also head of public affairs at eWage, a startup in EV trucks. She continues to work on policy deliberations, research, and projects related to transport decarbonization and climate change. Yeah, that's about the introductions. Now, before we move on to the discussion part of it, today we release a white paper on electrification of Indian truck sector, giving more detailed insight about the Indian truck industry, trends in e-trucks, key challenges, along with few policy recommendations collected from the industry experts. So my colleague Riddhi will take us through the white paper before we start the discussion, and then basis that will continue. Over to Riddhi.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Riddhi Palia, and today I'm here to give you an overview about the white paper we have released today. So I'll be quickly sharing my screen. Yes, I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Yes, so beginning with it, we have started on with the introduction, and in the introduction we have explained how the transport sector is basically contributing to the overall CO2 emissions. So in India, the road transport presently accounts for 12% of the India's energy related CO2 emissions. And as we all know, India's long-term goal is to achieve net zero by 2070. And in order to achieve that, it becomes very important for us to electrify the road fleet, especially the trucks. So if I talk of the types of trucks, we can classify it on the basis of haulage or on the basis of payload. So we have the light duty trucks, commonly known as LDTs, medium duty trucks, and the heavy duty trucks. Then moving forward, if I talk of the emissions, so as we can see from the graph, the light duty and the medium duty trucks, they make more than 45% emissions, or to be precise, 49% of the total road transport emissions in India. So hence it becomes very important for us to electrify the road fleet. Now, talking of the diesel truck registrations recorded in FY 2023, so more than 3 lakh trucks were registered in FY 2023, and this number I'm giving of the medium and the heavy duty segment. And India is the largest, like the 6th largest market in the world. So now if I talk of the major players, so there are 3 major players which make more than 90% of the diesel truck market. They are Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, and Volvo Eicher. While Tata Motors dominates the heavy duty truck segment, VE Commercial holds the major share in the medium duty truck segment. Now we can see that the market is consolidated. So these top players, they they do not have the barrier in R&D, in investing in R&D. So the consolidation presents an opportunity for the large OEMs to experiment, and they can develop new technologies which can be taken up by the upcoming OEMs to develop their products. So these large OEMs, they have models in production. Tata has Tata Ultra T7, Ashok Leyland Boss truck, and we have IPLT truck, that is Rhino 5536. And I have given specifications, like we have given specifications for all these trucks available in the market. Now, the box which all of us can see on the screen, it's basically of the models which are which have cleared the prototyping phase, and they will be soon out for the mass production. Now, how these large OEMs, they are practicing their pilot projects. So Volvo Eicher, it has collaborated with Amazon for 1,000 electric trucks. Similarly, Adani has also tied up with BYD. JSW Cement has tied up with IPLT, which is a Murugappa group. And Ultratech has also collaborated with IPLT, and we can see results from the pilot projects. Now, talking of the upcoming players, we have Ika Mobility, Tresa Motors, Pepper Motion, TI Clean Mobility. All these are the upcoming players, and they have also tied up with either the private organizations or the government organizations, and they are running their pilot projects for the testing of their products. Soon, Flipkart, JSW Steel, Nestle, Shree Cement, all of these organizations have also promised to bring their pilot projects, and by 2025 we can see a good number of pilot projects of e-trucks running across the country. Now, talking of the government side, we have eFast platform. This eFast stands for Electric Fleet Accelerator for Sustainable Transport, and this platform, it has all the resources. It has collaborations from OEMs, logistic service providers, financiers, charge point operators, and it lays down various resources which can help all the segments in this industry to come up with the pilot projects or to come up with the models as well, we can say. So the business models suggested are battery leasing and truck as a service model. So these two models can be practiced across the country as suggested by eFast. Also, eFast has also given a technical roadmap for the deployment of zero emission trucks, where it talks of the present status of the trucks in the country. It has also given guidelines about accelerating product development, how to invest in R&D, what can be the budget of pilot projects, and what outcome we can draw from these pilot projects. Then we come on to a very interesting topic, that is the retrofitment market. So we have few players like Kalyani Powertrain, IX Energy, which are currently into retrofitment of electric trucks. Also Tata, the organization, it is offering retrofitment kits. But the problem with retrofitment is the homologation and certification, which often takes too long. So retrofitment is also a potential solution. Then we come on to the key challenges for e-trucks adoption. So the primary challenge is high upfront cost. So the battery is taking 50 to 70%, and this makes the truck around 2.5 to 3 times more expensive as compared to the IC counterparts, or if I talk of the diesel trucks. Then we have very limited models available, performance capability, lack of policy push and government support. So by far we have only Delhi, which includes medium and heavy duty freight vehicles in its policy. So there is lack of policy push, there is a lack of we can say policy in this area, which can be improved upon. Lack of financing options because finances are still hesitant to involve in the upcoming technology, and inadequate charging infrastructure. Now, what reference we can draw from the global examples like China? So China takes 80 to 85% of the global total electric truck sales. And how China is able to do that? It has embraced the battery swapping model. So 49.5%, that is almost 50% of the total trucks sold in China are swap capable. So the Chinese national government as well as the local governments are pushing battery swapping. As a result, the country has adopted a good number of electric trucks in the country. Okay. What else the Chinese government has done? It has introduced upfront subsidies for the purchasers, as well as it has promoted indigenous manufacturing for the firms like CATL. So we can see that even when the subsidies have reduced post 2018, we can see that the numbers are still like the numbers have continued to increase post 2021, even when the subsidies have reduced, which is a positive indication that the trucks, they have hit the cost and performance parameter in the country. Policy recommendations for the same, we have given consumer centric policies like supply side policy, what can be done, how pilot projects can be rolled out in the country, what can be done on the charging infrastructure front, how there can be more stringent efficiency and emission standards rolled in the country, and how there can be focus on providing loans, interest schemes, and risk sharing mechanism from the financing side to promote the e-trucks in the country. Finally, coming to the conclusion, what we have seen in the while doing this white paper is that there is a cyclic approach which needs to be followed, starting from the creation of charging infrastructure, then working on the supply side to provide incentives on both demand and supply side, then how manufacturing, indigenous manufacturing, like we have seen from China, it can be promoted in the country, and how banking and financing side needs to be uplifted. So if we talk of the current trends, light duty trucks, they are most popular. We can see the Tata Ace, it is a popular choice for logistics. Then in the medium duty segment, we can, the focus should be on specific business case wise electrification. It can start from milk, perishables, all these, they have short haul requirements. So these sectors, they can be the first adopters of the e-trucks. And finally, if we talk of the heavy duty segment, it will take another 3 to 4 years as per our analysis, because overloading in the HDT segment is a major challenge in the Indian market. So replacing diesel trucks with the battery electric trucks, it will help India eliminate a significant amount of emissions, and India has the biggest opportunity in the transport sector. So this is about our white paper. So now I'll pass it on to Vivek sir for taking it further.
Thanks, Riddhi. Thanks for sharing. Moving ahead, we'll start with Mr. Shashank. You can lend us the OEM perspective on the current landscape of e-trucks in India. In terms of LDT, SDT, or MDT, what's the focus of OEMs on new product launches in e-trucks? As in, they are focusing more on LDT or SDT or MDT, and what kind of sector they are focusing on?
So yeah, thanks for asking. At present scenario, the road transportation and the freight scenario is already 70% in white paper, and that is fact, and it is continue to grow. So as last mile mobility needs small commercial and light adoption is going to happen in the small commercial and light commercial vehicle. Simultaneously, heavy duty vehicles, that heavy commercial vehicles, which is will take adoption with the technology maturity and the industry competitiveness. No sooner it increases, because all OEMs are working on both projects, and demand in both segment is there. Company have a mandates, company industries have a mandates. The companies like cement industry, steel industry, coal, they are looking forward. But yes, so But in that segment, in that industry, TCO is a challenge at present. So to answer to your question, light commercial and SCB is a segment which will first adapt for last mile mobility.
You are on mute, Mr. Vivek.
I'm really sorry. The thing is, any specific sector do you expect that will adopt the e-trucks first, and you are focusing more on?
So e-commerce is rightly adopting. All e-commerce companies are approaching us also and other VMs. Already proof of concept is going on and trials are going on with these companies. We are also closing few orders with them. So this is already started. It has started. Vehicles are already on road.
Okay.
In even a heavy duty segment also. The vehicles are already on road with a dumper segment and the long haul operations for tractor trailers.
Great. My next question will be to Mr. Sanjeev. That we know adoption in truck segment, e-truck segment is quite a difficult thing because of the cost, the double or the more than double cost of the e-trucks than the regular IC ones. So what we see that your company has brought in electric mobility as a service to help increase in presence of e-trucks. So what is exactly that about? And how do we see that helping e-trucks, specifically HDTs, grow in India?
Yeah, I think also, I think first of all, congratulations to JMK on publishing very good, very appropriately relevant topic through white paper. Congratulations for that. And coming to e-truck adoption, I think now the time has come that in specific segments, specific corridors, there is already a viability is assessed, whether our customers like e-commerce companies or large industries, cement and steel, copper, they already have done their kind of math that in particular applications, e-trucks definitely will prove out to be economical. And what we looked at, there are 4 or 5 critical success factors. Yeah, one was, I think also in the white paper you mentioned the lack of models, the varieties of options to customers. I think today, if we scan all the OEMs, both traditional OEMs of commercial vehicles as well as the startups who have established themselves, all have quite wide spectrum of portfolio, at least in the planning phase, and many of these vehicles have finished their homologation part, waiting for ST approval, ready for rollout, etc. So I see one is the tech part, tech and including the vehicle part. Yeah, so I think the India is now getting ready for that, and I'm sure our OEM fraternity is working day and night to bring very relevant models for Indian use cases. The second critical factor is the I would say the finance and insurance, and I can couple them together because unlike passenger cars, here the exposure is quite significant. And in the absence of a bankable purchase orders and long-term contracts, getting finances at attractive rates, that has been the challenge. In even for us, we are going through that. Compared to any other normal auto financing, getting an EV financed, especially in case of truck, and that too without any subsidies, the financing companies are hesitant to come forward. So this is the second challenge, I would say. But I think eventually we'll figure it out how to get the finance done, finance and insurance both. The third part critical was to get the customers. Even if you bring the truck, even if you're ready to operate, where are the customers? And I think 2-3 years back, yes, that was the question. So who will take electric truck? There are a lot of skepticism, etc. But today, wherever I am going and talking, I think there is a wholehearted welcome for our vehicles for deployment. So there is enough customers, enough demand from the load also has come. The last part, I would say, which made us as a company Billion to look into and getting into this business was the charging infrastructure. So unlike the city buses where you have a depot charging and within the city charging network for 2 and 3 wheelers, home charging predominantly, and some public charging here and there, when you get into truck, you have a different expectations. Yeah, so especially when we are talking of a mid-mile and long haul, seamlessly ensuring that there is an energy available when the vehicle needs, and it is dispensed at the rate what the vehicle can take. Yeah, not just the slow charging, but also the fast DC or a super fast DC charging. And that's where our company Billion, together with the sister company Charge Zone, we conceptualized Billion Mobility. And today, as we speak, we have our vehicles tried out on Chennai-Bangalore corridor with the load, and we are just waiting for the new financial year to begin for commercial operations. These are in the 14 and 19 ton category, as well as 55 ton tractor trailer category. Also backed up by smaller tonnage vehicles like 5.5 GVW and 3 or 3 ton GVW kind of categories for the intracity operations. So mobility as a truck providing service, when we look around, there are not many companies around. You will see two-wheeler as a service provider, mobility service. Car rentals are today available, both in local and global markets. We have already seen mobility service providers on either per trip, per kilometer, per month basis. Today you can get such electric vehicles. But in the trucking industry, we are trying to do this. When we do this, I see there are few more value-added functions. Any company, it's not just the Billion Mobility, but anybody else who gets into this operations has to give assurance to our end customers that the reliability of the vehicle on road is ensured, and on a specific corridors you have roadside assistance, dealing with any mishap happens, not because of the electric powertrain, but it could be an accident. And how do you deal with or maybe fire? So how do you deal whether we are completely equipped to handle such situations? I think this is one of the doubtful questions which come in the mind of our end customers. As a mobility service provider, we bring in that solution. We also bring in a lot of monitoring situation. OEM solutions, of course, they come with factory fitted telematics in most cases. Maybe there is a reverse camera support. But in all our vehicles, wherever now we are deploying, we will also have driver monitoring, frontal monitoring, real-time information reaching out to our end customers also, that not just where the vehicle is geographically positioned, but in which condition the vehicle is running, how can avoid the thefts en route. So the complete surveillance, both in cabin and surround view of the vehicles. These are some of the added value-added functions we are bringing in. We are making use of video enhancements. There are a lot of companies which have solutions, but at Billion Mobility, we have tried to integrate it. All of these. One is the vehicle safety, the safety around the surroundings, and the cargo which you are entrusting to us for moving from a point A to point B, ensuring that that cargo is in the safe hands, till it is delivered to the point. So this is what we are trying to do at Billion Electrification.
So, Mr. Sanjeev, what I believe is, as long as e-trucks are super expensive, e-mobility as a service will grow definitely. But whenever we discuss about e-vehicles, we say that they will eventually achieve parity with the IC engine vehicles as and when the battery prices come down.
Yeah.
So now currently we see e-vehicles or e-trucks having prices almost double of the IC. So do we see that the prices will go down that much that it will be equivalent to IC, or will it still be ahead of IC? One. And this is the one question. And second question is, given the price points now, how long in terms of kilometers do you see would be required to break even the cost of a e-truck?
Yeah, I think both are quite very I think right questions, and also maybe need a longer answer. One is the comparison when we do diesel or a CNG truck versus an electric truck. Of course, the upfront cost as what we see today is quite significant. In some cases, it could be 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 times, and in other cases, it could be 2 times. But in all variable categories of tonnage, you see the electric truck is costing heavily. But today, I think the transport operators, third-party logistics service providers, they are also no longer only look at the upfront cost. They are also looking at the total cost of operations over a period of time. So that's where I think today having a very, very reliable and a long-term contract with end customer becomes the most critical decision factor, apart from the technology and service support, etc. So assuming that those become the hygiene factors as we increase the number of vehicles on road, whether it comes from Ashok Leyland, Tata Motors, VECV, Ecom Mobility, from anybody. Once the numbers come, I think the maturity in terms of the product performance, roadside assistance, the capability of service organizations to handle issues, I think that become now the basic hygiene factor, and they will take care of it. And OEMs are well getting ready for that. What happens very critical for somebody to switch from buying a new BS6 diesel or a CNG truck versus buying an electric truck? The critical decision factor would be a bankable and guaranteed booking. Can he run without any interruptions for the entire month, at least 300 days in a year? You know the customer, you know his requirements, you know what routes you have to operate, and you know what type of a load you are carrying. When you have such bankable contracts, you can plug in all these calculations. I have seen on a 19-ton truck, if you are able to clock, say, something around 110,000 kilometers a year, yeah, you would already achieve your break even in the third year. Whatever the cost you would have paid for diesel truck versus what you pay upfront for an electric truck, and the fuel savings what you do today. I'm taking BS6 as an example. BS6 with AdBlue cost versus the electricity cost which is availed through a public charging stations. So at the end of 3 years, I think the operator would have already gained. And if you further plug in now, diesel prices are not going to stay at same level. There is already inflationary impact on the diesel prices, and you have energy costs also go maybe at 2-3% year on year. Even if you plug in that, when you do about 200-250,000 kilometers on such 19-tonner vehicle, you already got the payback. Yeah. So when this is coupled with, I think the days will come when you really start accounting for taking the carbon credit. Today at Billion, we are able to, through Charge Zone, we can give for a customer, he needs a certificate that whatever the charging energy we have used, if this is coming purely from a renewable source. Yes, today such models are possible. Otherwise, today's electricity, whatever you are getting, it's a mix. It's the fossil fuel based, coal based plus renewable. But today, if there is a particular customer needs the energy source which is coming for the charger purely coming from renewable. So such models are available. So when you start taking the carbon credits and the advantage what you give to the driver, the turnaround time, the driving comfort, and the digital logistics, what was hitherto difficult in monitoring the diesel vehicles from their performance breakdown and predictive maintenance, etc. So electric vehicles definitely offer a lot of advantages.
Right. So now that we are discussing about the struggles and everything about the e-truck segment, so my question is to Ashpreet, that you have been to both OEM side as well as the policy side. So according to you, what are the key success factors that will make e-trucks sector evolve in India?
Great, thanks for the question, Vivek, and good evening to everyone. Great to hear two industry representatives giving their point of view. And it's so heartening to see that, yes, there is scope for electric trucks in the market, because when we spoke about it 3 to 4 years ago, it was a wish, a dream. But now we can see that more and more prototypes and products getting clearances will be the way forward for cleaning the sector. So coming from a background where I have been fortunate to work on policies as well, I can confidently say that we have reached at a stage where electric trucks adoption has become important. And as we heard the earlier two panelists mention, that electric trucks have become now part of the conversation even for 3PLs. So it's not just about individual companies setting their internal targets of decarbonization. It has reached and flowed down to everyone else, the entire ecosystem. So we need more and more supportive policies. FAME, of course, covers a host of vehicle segments, but misses out on the truck segment completely, despite all the efforts that the industry and civil society organizations, government departments have done. But there are 2, 3 challenges there, that we do not have the kind of products that can give the confidence to the government to give incentives, because at the end of the day, it's the exchequer's money that is going for these incentives, right? So we need to be mindful of that. But with all the efforts that have been put in place, especially with industry championing the cause, the government has been considering including electric trucks in the next FAME draft. At least that is what I'm aware of. And in terms of bridging that gap, other policies that would be key would be ensuring that there are there's a mix of fiscal and non-fiscal incentives that are given. Now, there's a huge socio-economic aspect to the electric truck segment as well. It's a fragmented market. It's unorganized. There are drivers involved. There are a lot of issues in terms of how drivers are not aware about how electric trucks operate. So it's not just about OEMs and policymakers working together. It's about the entire ecosystem coming together. So we have seen that even PSA, which has come out with a technical roadmap, has been working on the backdrop. The buck hasn't stopped. The entire mobility community, or the panel that they have set up with experts, they are working towards another set of recommendations. They're working with a host of industry stakeholders with workshops and consultations to ensure that more and more policies are put in place to ensure that electric truck adoption happens. And eFast, something very close to my heart because I've worked on it as well. There is a demand aggregation of about 8,000 plus odd electric trucks across segments, and more for the medium and heavy duty segment. So it includes the hard to abate sectors, which have now turned into ready to abate sectors like cement, mining. These are the sectors which are willing to go and do these pilots, like your report also points out. Ultratech Cement, Shree Cements, and a host of other companies are already ensuring that the pilots are in place. So once we get data from this pilot in terms of what has worked, whether it's financially viable, it will also help address the point that Mr. Kulkarni raised on getting financial help or getting the financial institutions to agree to give loans on a lower interest rate, to get higher or larger warranties from OEMs as well. Because at the end of the day, the banks also need some kind of, or financial institutions also need some kind of guarantee warranty from the OEMs. And another aspect that financial institutions have been looking at, which is cropping into the policy side of things, is how do we make sure that batteries, when they are spent in the vehicle, how do we reuse and recycle them? So the bankers also need that kind of information. So all of these challenges, once they are addressed in the coming years, which are being addressed in the backdrop as well, we will see a higher adoption of electric trucks.
Thanks, Ashpreet. So that's a good news that next FAME version actually has a mention of e-trucks, because that has been missing in FAME 1 and FAME 2 altogether. And so next question is to Mr. Shashank. Because EKA is an OEM working good on e-buses, but when we talk about e-trucks, so in e-buses you get government contract, government tenders, and they're delivered and within the cities. But for e-trucks, how are you taking care of the charging infra and the financial challenges that come up for e-trucks?
So, Mr. Vivek, as financial challenges are there, but in small commercial now the leasing companies are coming forward. So that is the one good part which we have seen and observed, and they are coming with a green finance fund from NBFCs and started a good chain of leasing finance, complete with a service facility, door-to-door services, and major all across India, majorly in all state capitals basically. So that is one good part which I have found. And yes, the financing to FTUs are not there at present, but there are strategic customers who wants to take a finance. So it is few banks are coming forward for that. In charging stations in small commercial vehicles, we have still slow charging majorly. Fast charging is in development stage of few, and we are coming with fast charging vehicles in the next phase in first quarter. So charging would be at like Delhi, we don't see this issue, but in other cities, yes, there's an issue that we are collaborating with the charging partners, and that will, however, try to give a one-stop solution to customer along with the vehicle. So that's it. Leasing is frontal is good for the small commercial vehicles where we have it present at present. You're on mute, Mr. Vivek. You're on mute.
So when we talk about e-trucks, we also understand that heavy-duty trucks are also playing a key role in transportation across India. And the most concerning factor over there is overloading.
Yes.
That it's a common thing that when someone buys an ICE truck, he goes around overloading and breaks even in next couple of years and then starts earning. The engine is quite powerful. But when you talk about e-trucks, it won't be possible to do that kind of overloading because the battery is directly proportional to the weight and everything, even the terrain. So a truck that's starting from, say, Gujarat and going to maybe Assam or some hilly region, it will go through, an environment where it's raining, then it will be sun, and then it will be like hilly region. So how do you think will e-trucks work around that given so tough situations? In cities, it's fine. Everything can be taken care of. But I have a question around that as well, but that will come later.
So how to answer this question? So you know that is the pulse of transportation industry. Overloading, to get to the break-even earlier. So I know. So in Assam, I work in my earlier strength. So there are state government is, they are charging, they are penalizing the customer where is the overloading for the small commercial and light commercial vehicles as well as other truck segments also. So penalties are there for government and they are heavy penalties. So, and I would say rather for this now the adoption is taken place at not mass level with at present. So it is more at the companies level, at the 3PL levels, where customer are aware about it. So overloading will impact their charging and the range itself. So with the awareness and the education to customer, I think this will only help the at present solution to give a more awareness and educate the customer in the e-truck industry.
So what do you think it will be a deterrent for the people who are buying trucks for business and want to earn from that they won't be able to make that kind of profits as they are making in IC thanks to overloading?
So customers they know when their TCO will break, so they are very much aware. So they have gone through all their generations are there in the industry. So customers are aware very much. So I don't foresee any issue in convincing them or educating them or telling them.
And also, I think I'll just add on to what Mr. Shashank mentioned. Today, if I break it down in terms of adoption, right now these are the first movers who are switching from a diesel and CNG to electric, both at the customer end as well as the fleet operator end. And the decision to switch, as I also explained earlier, will happen based on the particular business case, use case. And at least for the next 3-4 years, you have a guaranteed load profile, road profile, the route logistics, everything. So in from that angle, I would say deliberate overloading by the driver is not an obvious case. There could be still a situation, but normally, for example, you take an e-commerce application. Yeah. So there today our challenge is not the overloading, but the theft. So how do you protect the vehicle? For example, because you have the e-way bills, you know what is the content inside, what is the value of goods you are moving in. And if the vehicle is moving, say, for 400, 500 kilometers between the start point, the e-commerce company would have already loaded everything, sealed the vehicle, and only you will open it once it reaches the destination. So, but en route, the people have found out smart ways to break open the container, drill a hole while the vehicle is moving. So all those kind of things are there. So I would say more than overloading as a challenge and overloading as a means of pocketing some quick money, the protecting the theft. And that's where the digital logistics, as I mentioned, will come into picture. How well you are able to protect the cargo when it is moving from point A to point B. What kind of a solutions we can bring in apart from just transferring the powertrain from a fossil fuel to electric. So these are critical. As far as the vehicle designs are concerned and the motor's capabilities, I think the load bearing and torque bearing capacities, I think these are already taken into account. Even when we were able to discuss with our OEM partner, they were open enough to discuss on the things. So the basic structure itself is also designed to take into account of in the event there is an overloading, whether the motor is able to give the performance. Whether thermal issues are considered, whether the battery is enough to give that extra discharge current for such overloaded uphill gradient kind of things. I think, like I mentioned, the OEMs have been now able to understand those aspects. And from a robustness point of view, whatever the known challenges, what we had seen during the diesel and CNG days, all have been captured while configuring the vehicles. It's now important that how you can optimize what is the size of the battery pack is required, what is the motor is required, so that modularity, in my personal opinion, makes it more easy in electric vehicles compared to a diesel vehicle, because there you have to look at the entire drivability parameter, right from engine to transmission to differential. And how do you place the entire center of gravity and make the vehicle stable? So the diesel would have posed more challenge. In case of electric, today if 150 kilowatt motor is not sufficient, you can quickly switch to a 200 kilowatt motor. 200 kilowatt battery is not sufficient, you can switch to 300. Especially in truck case, you get modular packs, so you can add the number of packs and customize based on each of the use cases.
Yeah. So definitely. So in terms of OEMs, again, coming back to Shashank, I'll come to Ashpreet. My next question is for you. But we see a lot of consolidation in EVs across the segments. The smaller players, when the bigger player actually comes into picture, the sales and everything of the small players is disturbed. So do you see some kind of consolidation in e-truck segment going forward now that we have bigger players also coming into foray?
So there is a space. I don't see that that bigger player will come into the picture and the smaller players will get out of the market. There is a space in the auto industry in our country. So we have in every corner of our country, we have customers, and the adoption and the government push will help us to reach. It's all about the reach, how fast we increase the reach, basically. And the ecosystem is being developed accordingly that every player would sustain. So I really don't foresee that consolidation would happen so early.
Okay. And that's a good to know, because as we see in electric two-wheelers industry, a lot of players who were doing really good earlier are now nowhere to be seen. Those were like biggest players in our ecosystem, but they are gone now. So next question is to Ashpreet. We have seen China embracing a smooth transition to electric trucks via battery swapping model. So do you think the same can be possible for Indian conditions, as it can reduce the downtime for trucks? Because that is the main hiccup for trucks for medium duty or heavy duty. They are going for long haul, that they don't want to embrace it because they don't want to spend their like 12-15 hours just to charge their truck, before they move on to the next leg of 400 kilometers, then take a break of 12 hours. So how do you see it in Indian models?
Yeah, that's a great question. And fortunately, I have been part of some meetings where I've learned that in India as well, this is being done by Sun Mobility, where they have curated a model where battery swapping will be possible for medium and heavy duty trucks. They've been doing it for the LCV segment. There are 2-3 other companies who are doing it as well. They're experimenting, but I'm not at liberty here to share their names. But it's not that the India market is not growing. And while it's good to take examples from other countries as use cases, while China is one of the most established markets, we should also look at California. We should definitely look at Japan, because these geographies are also looking at battery swapping along with battery chemistries which support fast and ultra fast charging. Because at the end of the day, the government and the organization and the ecosystem, we need all kinds of technologies to coexist. It cannot be a case of one over the other. So while we might have battery swapping solutions, which might or might not work depending on the business case, we do need a steady charging infrastructure. So just reiterating what both panelists had mentioned, we need that route rationalization, or at least setting up the charging infrastructure that is required for electric trucks, whether it's the state highways, national highways, last mile delivery, because at the end of the day, just slow charging will not support the cause. Like we were talking about overloading, or how we were referring to how electric trucks might not be able to give that kind of kilometers that a traditional ICE truck does. So what are the solutions? We are still talking about challenges, but we need to work towards those solutions. Battery swapping for now is a nascent technology. That is what I understand. And the government is also waiting to see whether there will be any use cases for it. Because at the end of the day, we'll have to assess which cases work.
Fine. So because in this case, though we can plan of battery swapping and all those things, but given that we have huge highways like Bharatmala Pariyojana and all, where still there is no electricity on the highways. So
Yeah,
first
if I
bringing
may,
in the infrastructure, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, if I may just add on that point, I'm sorry interrupting here, but a lot of charging infrastructure players have said that they want to switch to renewables. They want to use solar. They want to use other forms of making sure that their charging stations are charged. But the laws don't allow it, which is quite unique because every state has its own regulation, and they find it difficult to get the state to approve setting up that kind of solar plant and using. At the end of the day, you still need backup. You still need to use the grid and get electricity in case the solar plants do not work. But the whole law and regulation situation also needs to improve.
True. Again, the theft thing that we just talked about, Mr. Kulkarni, is that theft is also an issue. Say for a long haul truck, if somebody takes away the batteries, the truck is lifeless, and 90% of the cost is gone. So, coming back to Mr. Shashank, we have a question from the audience that say that we have conducted trials with different models in MDT and SDT segments and have observed that vehicles are capable of operating under overloaded conditions. The primary concern remains the warranty coverage. So that's what you said. So what kind of warranties or guarantees are we considering in here? In such cases wherein we can have battery breakdown or battery theft or similar kind of things. Because what I feel is ICA can have a collaboration with Amazon and supply a number of trucks to Amazon. The ownership will remain with ICA. Think about owners who are somewhere in Himachal and own 10 ICE trucks. They want to switch to electric trucks. So they will have to buy on their own as they were doing earlier and align them with maybe cement companies or something, because cement companies even don't buy trucks. So how are the guarantees and the warranties ensured in that case?
So, service as a OEM, we have to give a holistic solution for the service front. So, at anywhere we are opening a markets, we are opening also our service capabilities supported to customer. So, on warranties, we are offering the warranties on the battery, 6 to 8 years, based on the variants. We are also offering the warranties on the vehicle, motor, the VCU, again in kilometers and the years. So a battery is well secured in a vehicle. So theft at present, we have not noticed anywhere with the battery. So far, it hasn't come across. We have sold in trucks. So warranty in part of batteries, it is separate, and the vehicle part is already there. Warranties are there.
Okay. Coming back to Mr. Kulkarni, how do you think the retrofitment market will play a role in conversion to e-trucks? Do you see a scope in there, or?
Yeah. So I personally in my previous role worked very much on retrofitment. In fact, the first set of electric trucks retrofitted went through also the complete cycle from development to testing to homologation and obtaining the green number plate and then commercially getting deployed. So the whole cycle we have seen. I see again, this becomes a kind of a bridge from a OEM born electric truck development time frame, from migrating our existing BS3, BS4 vehicles to electric. So retrofitment becomes kind of a path if done systematically and holistically. Of course, there are few regulatory challenges in the country as on today. Because even if it is a retrofitted truck, it needs to go through the homologation process, more or less same as the new vehicle. So the battery needs to be certified, the entire powertrain needs to be certified, and vehicle as a whole, you need to get it tested, including EMI, EMC, range, brake test, everything. Only you can carry over is the component tests. You don't have to do repeat on headlamp, tail lamp, wiper, those kind of things. But otherwise, as a vehicle whole, you will have to get it. So for a retrofitting company to get say 8 or 10 top models, if you do a Pareto analysis in a medium and a heavy commercial vehicle segment, with IC engine, you see every 1 horsepower or 2 horsepower, you have one powertrain, one engine is available, either coming from Volvo Eicher or from Tatas or Mahindras or Ashok Leylands. So if you want to make a universal retrofitment as a solution, I see it may not be worthwhile an exercise. But if the companies can identify the top percentage of models which are very frequently deployed in a particular category, say for example, operating range of about 200 kilometers and tonnage of 6 or 7 ton payload, taking a diesel BS3 or a BS4 vehicle. BS3 is still possible to convert because they have not yet done their 15-year lifespan. BS4 definitely a good matured product. The vehicle which has run for say 5-6 years still has a lot of energy inside. You switch the powertrain to electric and do some overall facelift for the vehicle. A retrofitted solution can equally perform like a new solution, because all those relevant electric powertrain, whether it is a OEM or retrofitter, he will still be putting a new motor, new battery pack, new power electronic products, new ECU, etc. I think model-based retrofitment, if somebody is able to identify the models, have an alignment with the kind of a client base, it also gives quickly for the end users who are sitting on the fence to do a trial and test before they decide to switch 100% to their electric fleet. A retrofitment can come at a much lower upfront cost. A new truck, I think in your report somewhere I saw what Vidhi presented. If a truck is going to cost us 1 crore, a new electric truck of 25 tonner, and same 25 tonner you do retrofitment, maybe I'm not very sure, but maybe you can achieve it in about 50-55 lakh rupees. At half the cost, you get a retrofitted truck. But more than the cost, what I personally see is, there are existing fleet of BS4, BS3 vehicles flying in many regions. We have seen there is a ban on BS3 vehicle in particular corridor. Yeah. Now assume I am the operator. I am very, very local there. My family is there. My business is there. My clients are there. And all of a sudden, if there is a rule that from 1st April 2025, I can't run a BS4 diesel in that sector or in that city, then where should I go? Yeah, I'm not a large player like TCI or VRL. I can shift the vehicle from NCR region to some other area and operate it. I am a small operator with 18-20 vehicle fleet size. I am very local to operate, and for such people, retrofit can give them two advantages. One is their existing fleet, existing customer base is not disturbed. So you use an electric vehicle, a retrofitted vehicle, and you continue to still operate in the same territory with the same customer base. So this I see as the positive advantage. The other challenge happens is how a retrofitment company will ensure the service support. Yeah, because then it becomes again a corridor specific. So for electric, whether it is a new vehicle or a retrofitted vehicle, in the first phase of adoption, I would say between now and next 3-4 years, a global pan-India platform, to me, it appears to be a challenge. But if you do smart planning, including charging, including your customer, have an alignment with the customer for kind of a green corridor. If it is electric vehicle, I don't have to wait for loading and unloading. Today, what is the most inefficient activity? The truck comes to even the modern e-commerce companies. The truck comes there and it waits for 5-6 hours till it gets either unloaded or loaded, and neither the driver is earning for it, nor the vehicle is earning, and then it is occupying space. And with the electric vehicle, you have one is the waiting time for loading and unloading, and then there is another non-value adding activity of charging. So it needs another 1 hour for 1 or 2 hours for charging. So collectively, the inefficiencies which are there in today's logistics entire value chain, these need to be addressed. Whether you go with a retrofit or a new vehicle, I think if you are able to eliminate the inefficiencies, then definitely electric makes it very, very viable from an operation point of view. May not be any subsidy also required.
Thanks, Mr. Kulkarni. That was quite insightful. We have one question for Ashpreet that's coming out. What is the future of electric trucks when Indian government and large conglomerates are doing pilots on hydrogen-based trucks? Is it right to do that right now when we are still struggling with the electric EVTs to take shape? What is your take on that? We are starting to kill something before it is actually growing.
This is the question that personally all of us have been asking each other and the government and the industry, that what will happen to EVs once hydrogen comes, right? So, but I'll go back to my previous comment where I said that the direction from the government is clear, whether it's through policies, through discussions, that all technologies need to coexist. It cannot be one over the other. All clean fuel technologies need to coexist. So we need to move more towards draining out the polluted vehicles and ensuring that all the clean fuel technologies are adopted, which includes hydrogen, which includes retrofitted vehicles, which includes pure electric vehicles, which would also include ethanol and all other kinds of technologies that are being tested. So it's not something that you can dismiss at this point, but yes, going by all the discussions and stakeholder consultations, India might not be ready yet for hydrogen vehicles. Hydrogen can be used more for energy storage plants, and for trucks or the segment that we're looking at making hydrogen ready, it could take another 10 years. So a lot of people have also said that EVs are the stopgap arrangements. I would really like to, on behalf of the civil society organization community, I would really like to say that EVs are not a stopgap arrangement at all, because they have no tailpipe emissions. They are here for long. And the governments wouldn't have come out with separate state electric vehicle policies if EVs were stopgap arrangements. So hydrogen policies are also being evolved by different state government departments, but the center has left it to the states to decide which clean fuel technologies will be adopted.
Good to know that. Thanks. One last question to Mr. Shashank. What do you think is the time frame for heavy-duty trucks to have substantial market share, and which applications are more likely to be the first one to convert to electric?
A heavy-duty segment specifically?
Yeah, the HDT segment, heavy-duty truck segment. So, what is the expected time frame for them to have a substantial market share?
So initially, what Ms. Sethi has said, there's an aggregated demand of 8,000 trucks, where 40% is almost heavy-duty trucks for aggregated demand. So the companies which are having already mandates, and cement companies, coal mines, there is a good policy of Telangana state governments. So these sectors will have first adoption for heavy-duty trucks, and numbers and the good market share. It's very difficult to say at present, because as rightly we have a challenges and we don't have subsidies. So no sooner the aggressive policies focus on it will grow with the government approach, then only the numbers and the market share can be determined. So at present, it's very difficult to judge on it or say on something on that part. But yes, the corporates and companies are adopting it, and the POCs are already done with many, and many like Adani Ports just was going through it. They have placed the orders and they are running the vehicles. So companies are coming forward. So the obstacles we need to overcome, the obstacles of charging, the funding, financing, and this. No sooner it is in place, the adoption will be faster. Initial cost of the vehicle itself. So payback period should be also low. So these things needs maturity of technology, competitiveness, then the ecosystem to be developed about like financing and charging, then only the numbers will come.
That's it. And before we actually wrap up the segment, now it's time. One last closing statement from all of you. Starting with Mr. Shashank. Any last opening closing statement from your end?
So, first of all, thank you, Mr. Vivek, for inviting me on this wonderful session and the panelists. I've been introduced to the panelists and the audience as well. I've come across new insights from government approach as well as on retrofitment, how the electric retrofitment will take place from the Kulkarni side itself. So it's really it's honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shashank, for your time. Mr. Kulkarni.
Yeah.
Your
So,
closing statement, please.
of course, I was also looking at some of the questions which were there in the chat box. So before I think I can make few comments from my side. I think couple of questions maybe I can give my view. One is on the I think on the LCV segment. No, definitely. LCV segment. Already we have seen in the three-wheeler commercial boat segment there is enough TCO. Enough companies have worked out on a TCO utility, etc. I think switching from a normal diesel or a CNG three-wheeler to electric three-wheeler is no-brainer. Today it's already given in all applications. Second is now when we migrate from a three-wheeler to sub 3.5 ton category. Or up to say 10 feet container kind of thing. There are still some challenges because of the technology, the cost of the vehicle, and the price what this vehicle can earn per day. I still see if the use case is below 100 kilometers and switching to vehicles like Eicher Pro 2055 or 5.5 tonner or a Bada Dost EV for an operating range per day 100 kilometers, and then whatever the prices you get paid for doesn't give economic viability in short term. So I see that as a challenge. But if the same vehicle can be stretched to about 120, 150 kilometers a day, a kind of utilities of a Bolero pickup, if I take as an example, 200 to 220 kilometers a day converted, an electric version can still be economically viable. Mid MHCV segment, 10 tonner to or 8 tonner to 12 tonner payload. Definitely, if we are able to do about 400 to 450 kilometers a day kind of operating range, economic viability is there. And of course, when it comes to HDV segment, today we have use cases which are both long haul. At our charging station, we charge every day a 40 tonner truck passing through us. Every day we do it, so we see that there is a good amount of viability. And in mining areas, port areas, there are already a lot of trials have been done. So 55 tonner trucks make it very, very viable. I say as the tonnage goes up, your earning capability per kilometer also becomes better. And I see a mid mile between 300 to 500 kilometers of a per day travel run. Switching to electric, if you have a guaranteed customer base, is quite viable today. I think this was one of the question on LCV. On the battery packs, I think there are enough battery packs, so I don't want to get into specific of it. I think there are good battery pack manufacturers already available here. What else is there? I think TCO I have indirectly answered. E-truck TCO versus ICE, I think one can simply do. Fuel savings is around 30-35% of the diesel cost versus electric cost. The rest of the cost of financing, I think you can do a simple Excel math and then look at it. I would say EV adoption is a deeper segment, long distance segment. Yes and no, but I see today some of the vehicles like a 55 tonner I am working very closely on. if we are able to smartly manage between the prime movers and the trailer, I would say horse and carriage. And if you are putting the battery packs on the horse and then the carriages are there, and if you optimize the number of horses versus number of carriages, then you can optimize your per day operation. I have seen that we are able to do about 800 kilometers in single day. If you have additional horses and additional prime movers, so your loading and unloading inefficiencies, what is there today is totally taken off, because trailers are anyway separately certified. You have a number plate, and you can always do mix and match. Again, it comes back to you should have a single customer. If I am moving, for example, a particular commodity, and if I have vehicles like a relay race, I move 500 kilometers, the next horse is ready. I don't have to wait for charging and all that. I switch the trailer and then move. So not just only the tipper advantage came mainly from the fuel cost versus diesel electric cost. Whereas long haul electric I still see is a good viability. What is other question? I think yeah, I think somebody has already answered Kalyani powertrain on retrofitment. Yes, I think with certificate there are vehicles are available. One should try that out. I think yeah. Any other questions? No. But as a summary, what I can say is, we have in the minds of the people whether electric will work. That I think doubt is already is eradicated. Now there is a good amount of exposure, whether it is a two-wheeler, three-wheeler, passenger cars. The adoption rate is slowly ticking up. In case of trucks, I would say government policies as well as the financial institutions from a government intervention is required in identifying the EV trucks into the priority lending sector. Today it is not. So you have to still go to NBFCs for raising the funds. And for somebody like us who are a startup in e-mobility service, getting a good finances for a cost of 1.5 crore rupee truck, and it's not just showing one vehicle or two vehicle. When we're talking of 100 odd fleet size in a span of 1 year, you need large capital, and dependency only on NBFCs and paying higher interest rates will make the viability further longer. So I think the government should bring in electric trucks into priority lending sector. Insurance companies should come out with whatever validations they want to do it, but because a 20 lakh rupee truck versus a 1 lakh rupee truck, my insurance premium will also go up. Not just the upfront cost, my insurance cost also will go up 3 times. So and we all know the beaten life for electrical components is much longer than a diesel component. Diesel or whether the injector might fail, but probably my motor will not fail. Yeah, my traction inverter is for lifetime. I don't have to replace it. So when such reliability factors are there, the insurance companies should get close to the OEMs, understand the validation processes, how the electric powertrains are robust enough, so that the insurance premium, if they can segregate or the background related the cost of insurance versus warranty related cost of insurance, if that comes down, that's a good attractiveness. OEMs are coming out with a lot of AMC concepts today, and I think a lot of work needs to be done on AMC front, because in case of diesel, I would go to a roadside workshop and get it attended, at least up to BS2, BS3 vehicles. That service was possible. In EV, such repair on the field, my personal opinion is not a ideal way to look at it. So you need to end up with replacing that part, and the roadside assistant team should have sufficient replacement float parts available, so that the vehicle is not off-road for a long time. That is part one. And dealing with warranty and attributing what was the failure, whether it is due to abuse or it's basically the manufacturing defect. A quick resolution for that can give confidence to our end customer, because you invest on 1 crore rupees, and if the vehicle is in garage for next 1 month, then your economics is gone. So from a OEM side and the service organization side, it is their responsibility that they ensure the
Right. That's right.
claims are quickly resolved, addressed, and vehicle is put back into the operations. If
Higher
those
uptime.
kind of things are done, I think adoption of EV trucks. Personally, I am very bullish on that.
Thank you, Kulkarni. Mr. Shashank, you were saying something in between, I suppose.
No, I just wanted to just add his Mr. Kulkarni's statement of higher uptime. So that is what his customer looks.
Yeah.
So what I feel from both the closing statements is that everything is in government's hand. If government decides, then there'll be a huge growth, and if government decides to provide the infrastructure. So over to Ashpreet, who can give good insights and good closing statements about how we can achieve what is to be achieved.
Great. So good to hear everyone give their inputs and suggestions. But we keep hearing these suggestions, and while government policies will work and they're slower than usual, we need the industry also to step up and come out with new and innovative ideas to finance these vehicles and ensure that there is higher uptake of electric trucks in the country. So we need that kind of partnerships between different OEM shippers, 3PLs, and every other community member that is involved. We need to create more awareness. And in terms of policies, we need the government, and the government is working towards it as well. We need the government to step up and say that, yes, we believe in the technology. They have said it on several platforms. They've said it through their policies as well. But there seems to be a gap between accepting by the industry and accepting by the government that, yes, both of us recognize the need for adopting electric trucks. So we are here to bridge that gap, and I hope to see more and more industry representatives holding pilots, because at the end of the day, if you need to convince the government to give you incentives, you need to give them a concrete data in terms of whether a technology works at all or not. So that would be our request, that please hold more and more pilots, share that data, whether it has worked at all or not, whether it is financially viable for you, and then the government can step in. But more on a personal front, because I come from an OEM background as well, is that business should run and people should prosper irrespective of whether there are fiscal incentives or not. So I would like to close on that end.
Thank
I
you.
hope that's a good answer.
Yeah, definitely. Ashpreet. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar today. Thank you all the panelists for sharing such wonderful insights. Now, we have a reason to believe that e-trucks will prosper, grow, and the industry will be at par with what IC engine trucks are. So, in case of any questions that have not been taken up during the sessions, please share those questions on contact@jmpsales.com. I'll share the email ID on the chat as well, and we'll try to answer them. And the recording of the session will be available on our website, jmpsales.com, shortly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you all, and thanks also for participants with a lot of interesting questions, and their interest itself shows that EV trucks are no longer only on the PowerPoint presentations. You will see them on the roads.
Thank you.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.